I'm going to call to order the May 11th, 2023 Board of Education meeting for District 91. May I have a roll call?
Mr. Lyons. Miss Angelo.
Here.
Mr. Brooks. Ms. Tyler.
Here.
Mr. Rummel here. Ms. Wood.
Here.
Ms. Cotton-Yancey.
Here.
For anyone who would like to participate, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our mission in partnership with Home and Community is to educate each individual child in a safe and nurturing environment. We will foster respect, self-worth, teach skills relevant to contemporary life, to promote academic success and creative expression. We will encourage the appreciation of rich culture, diversity in our community. We will instill a sense of wonder for the future to enable our students to become lifelong learners, responsible citizens of the world. I also remember what. Thank you. Forest Park Public School District 91
Will be acknowledged by all
as a safe and nurturing
and diverse learning community
that establishes the highest standards for innovation
and continuous improvement to achieve excellence.
and global citizenship for each individual child. Recognizing the systemic bias that has plagued our educational system, we commit to nurturing dialogue around all issues of inequity, including culture, race, faith, socio-economic status, gender identity, sexual orientation, and different ability, as they pertain to classroom practices, school and school district structures, and policies and procedures. We support actions removing barriers to opportunities that will allow children to reach their full potential.
Thank you to the Forest Park News Media team for creating those videos for us. Number 4, honoring Native American land. Mr. Rummel?
We, the Forest Park Board of Education, would like to acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the traditional lands of the Peoria, Potawatomi, Maiamia, Sioux, and Kickapoo people, and pay our respect to elders, both past and present.
Thank you. Number 5, consent agenda. For the board, is there anything that you would like taken off? No? Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Roll call?
Ms. Angelo.
Aye.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Ms. Tyler.
Aye.
Ms. Rummel. Mr. Rummel. Aye. Ms. Wood.
Aye.
Ms. Cotton-Yancey.
Aye.
6, correspondence. Do we have any? No correspondence. 7, matters of consideration from the public. Are there any public comments? Hi.
Hello. I wrote down what I wanted to say. My name is Chanel Crowley, and I'm a 7th grade parent at the middle school. I heard the video in the beginning mention that ensuring a safe and learning environment was part of, everyone's mission here for students, but unfortunately that has not been the case for my student. So I am here to request that the board evaluates and improves the school's approach and practices regarding bullying and harassment among students. My student has been bullied, harassed, and purposely isolated for the past 2 years now. The school and the district has failed to resolve this matter as it continues to be an ongoing issue. This has had an impact on my student's emotional and psychological well-being, as well as her attendance and academic performance. She made an outcry for help via email to the principals and superintendent on April 4th, saying in her own words, The students here always find a way to make me feel less than, and I'm tired. I really don't know what to do, and I feel like even me telling you guys isn't going to help. Everybody at the school makes me want to disappear. I wish I had never existed because of them. I literally feel depressed right now. Every morning I pray to God that school will be different, but it never works. I'm sure that this is probably only a fraction of what she's been having to battle internally. So for the sake of my student and all students like her, I'm asking that the board intervenes and evaluate and improve how the middle school and the district have responded and acted regarding this matter, and make the necessary adjustments to ensure that all students do in fact have the opportunity to learn in a safe and nurturing environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crowley.
Good evening. I just have a question. I had sent a message to Dr. Alvarez yesterday regarding the Spanish curriculum in the Forest Park Middle School for next year, on the regards that our Spanish teacher had moved to Betsy Ross to probably teach Spanish there. And as of right now, there's no employment posting for a Spanish teacher. But you said that you would address those questions tonight in the email you wrote back to me about what the curriculum will look like. But also, I'd like to also ask about what the curriculum for art, music, and health will look like. Is it a quarter system that we're going to? So it's 2 months, 2 months, 2 months? And if so, what are we replacing in those other times? And the reasons as to why we're taking those away. Because the arts, Spanish, we all know the benefits of having a second language is extremely important in today's society. And if our kids don't have that opportunity, they are falling behind against other kids that are getting it on a yearly basis all year long, especially going into high school. The fact of knowing Spanish, art, and having music are extremely valuable qualities to have. It also teaches empathy, it teaches values, it teaches cultures that make our kids empathetic to other things in this world. And I think that is very critical. And I know I would want all of our students to have those qualities, so I hope you do too.
Thank you, Ms. Leahy. Eight, superintendent's report.
Okay, I'm going to start off with recognitions. We have a couple of events that has happened in D91. The first is our partnership with the Forest Park Library and the village to plant a tree for Arbor Day. Our fifth graders came with Miss Megan Binder and serenaded us with songs to celebrate the momentous occasion. It truly was a lovely way to set the mood to planting a tree for all to love here at Forest Park. We celebrated our NEHS, I don't think I have it there, inductees. There they are. We celebrated our NEHS inductees and members on April 27th. A shout out to Molly Ulzek for her mentoring and preparation with our scholars. We will also be having an NJHS celebration this month on May 17th. And then a shout out to Daniel Dugan for providing our middle school scholars the opportunity to celebrate. On April 27th, D91 had the very first after-school showcase to show the growth of our children from Taekwondo, gaming, arts, dance, and media. It truly was a proud day to see our children shine. And Ms. Mills spearheaded a D91's first resource and transition fair that was held on Saturday, April 29th. This provided an opportunity for families to learn further resources in partnership with D91. And then our eighth graders were leaders for Read Aloud, a Rising Voices story to our K-5 classrooms on May 5th. And I think I have pictures of it here. Oh, there it is. We celebrated the Festival of the Arts for the first time, all in one location and one date for all our families to view all our students' talent. It truly was a festive day. Thank you to Suzanne Mato, Emily Brazzini, Emily Morel, Maria Carini, Megan Binder for all the work they put in to make this a wonderful event. And then thank you to Ms. Bogdan and Ms. Darla Cass for their support and the use of the buildings. Congratulations to our nurses on Nurse Appreciation Day, May 11th, Michelle Bernero, Bridget Johnson, and Brenda Ali. We appreciate all that they do to provide so much medical support to the entire district. Not only our children, but I know they assist our staff when needed. And we did a shout out to Nudis Uceta Ramos, who loves to recognize others. School Communicators Day is tomorrow, May 12th. Nudis Uceta Ramos does not have necessarily an appreciation day because she's under family community engagement. However, we found a way to honor her in so many different ways through this Communicators Day. So that we noticed how she's celebrating students, families, and staff regularly. And then I want to shout out our 8th graders. Not only will they be graduating on June 5th, 2023, but they had some major events. They had a poetry slam that was held on May 2nd and 3rd through Ms. Shardulo. They also participated in our first 8th grade Leaders Read Aloud of Rising Voices, stories to our K-5 classrooms. Our young scholars enjoyed hearing from our future graduates, and some had their siblings. I just noticed I'm giving you the wrong slide. There we go. And some had their siblings read to them. Thank you to Ms. Chardulo, Jennifer Ullman, James Edler, Steve Johnson, Rick Arahu, and our principals in all of our schools for making this happen. And moving on to this slide, I want to thank everyone from staff, parents, and students who were part of the interview process and our search for our new principal. It took several days and hours, and our committee volunteered their time for the important search, and we're still on this search. I want to thank Ms. Alaco, Mr. Bacon, Ms. Crowley, Mr. Edler, Mr. Stiglitz, Ms. Terracciano, Ms. McCrae, and Ms. Pekel for their support. We also had a panel with students, Noah Hickman-Jackson, Nora Ernst, Emery Barnes, Rowan Morello, and Lily Huner. And with that, I'm actually going to invite Nora and Rowan to come up and share a little bit of your experience during this time.
Hi, I'm Nora. The first step in the process that I was a part of was I was approached by Mr. Bacon, obviously. He had told me that I was asked to be on the panel for the principal interviews. I met with Mr. Edler and the other panel members that day and another time on Thursday during one of our periods, and we made 14 questions about subjects that we thought were important that we wanted the candidates to answer. We wanted those questions obviously to be answered because this person is going to be contributing to our school. And the 15th question was obviously, do they have any questions for us? Interview process, sorry. Rowan, you can go.
For the interview process, we went one by one for students, going through the questions and writing down chunks of the candidates' answers, and we had a pointing system for 1 through 4 points, and we'd basically grade their question, and we'd round up the points at the end and listed our candidates in order of who we thought would be the most contributed to FPMS.
Did you guys find the process informative and helpful?
Yes, it was very helpful. It was very nice to see the candidates who will be helping with our school, which is very important because this person, like I said, is contributing a lot to our school, and I think it's important that the students would be there. The process was very helpful. Mr. Edler went over a lot of the things, so there wasn't anything missing in what we were going to do. Obviously, we all wrote notes down, and which is, we graded everything. He told us the grading process. Basic stuff like that.
Well, thank you, ladies, for coming here and sharing that process with us. I just want to make sure 2 of them were able to show up. And I just want to shout out to Rowan, who stepped in for another student who was not able to be part of the panel. So thank you so much. Finally, if you are looking to cheer Amelia Whitebone on the Scripps Spelling Bee, you can do so by viewing her on May 30th on Ion Plus 9 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. We are rooting for her and can't express how proud we are of her accomplishments. She will be number 55. Moving on to learning and achievement, primary Spanish classes for K-2. Last year during our needs assessment, parents requested Spanish classes for primary level. We took a look at our current program and realized our children in middle school were only receiving a small taste of the language. We also know it takes 7 to 10 years to learn a language, and for this reason, we'll be bringing Spanish to our primary scholars this coming school year. In school year 24-25, we will expand the program to bring Spanish to our 3rd to 8th grade scholars. To ensure our upper grade students receive quality lessons in Spanish, we're looking to offer an opportunity after school this coming school year. In this way, our students will have exposure to Spanish from kindergarten through 8th grade, allowing the opportunity to become fluent bilingual students. Full-day preschool program. Another request from families was a full-day preschool program. We will now be offering this for a few lucky families. There is also a fee for the program, as there is for a half-day program. 15 of our youngest scholars will have the opportunity to receive a full-day pre-K program. Yes.
Can I ask a question about?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I wanted to go back to the primary Spanish classes.
Mhm.
I know this was something that I had a lot of questions about, and so just so I'm understanding, we're keeping our Spanish teacher.
Yes,
We're transitioning our Spanish teacher to kindergarten through 2nd next year,
correct.
and we will come up with a more robust offering for 3rd through 8th graders the following year in school. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, and then for next year, the after 2024, 2025 will be the follow-up. I said the next year, yeah.
After this.
And then next year, for our 3 through 8th graders, there will be an after-school option.
We are looking to get an after-school option because we understand that there was Spanish
Yeah.
at that level. I don't feel it was as productive as it could have been.
Yep.
But we want to make sure that from K to 8th grade, they're getting exposure for it.
Yeah, I mean, when we spoke about it, and I said, I'm unhappy, quite frankly, about this because taking away a subject matter doesn't feel quite right?
Mhm.
I think, and this has nothing to do with the Spanish teacher, but rather the curriculum and the way that we've instituted into our day, that it doesn't, there's no currency. Like you're not going to be ready after 8th grade the way that it's currently structured to like test in to Spanish 2 at the high school level.
Correct.
Okay, so I think what we're hoping to do, understanding how language works, is that the earlier you can expose kids, the better chance we have at fluency.
You got it.
So by taking a breather and retooling, which means my kid in her last year, which is a bummer, won't get it. The 7th graders won't get it. But it does mean that it's a richer, they won't get it during the school day. If we're able to find an after-school option, is that something that we hope the district can cover?
Yes.
Okay. So it won't be at a cost? for
Correct.
parents. Okay. Got it. Thank you.
I have a question. So if we're doing for the after-school day, we're looking for, if we can get it for after-school for the full school year, if we can find a program?
It depends on what the program provides to us, but yes, we'll be looking into that.
And it won't, we're looking to provide as many kids, like we do our after-school program now, as many kids as we can fit in there, right? I'm assuming?
Yeah,
Depends
it
on, like,
depends on the maximum.
Okay.
So when you say a program that fits, so this isn't our program, this is us going to an outside agency and trying to bring them in to do this as a, okay.
I'm assuming that if it's being now integrated into K through 2, it's really at the building level for principals to kind of figure out how that gets adjusted into the schedule.
Yeah, and they already
Yeah.
have that settled between Betsy Ross and Garfield.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to registration, family and community engagement. Just a reminder again about registration for next school year, as well as a request for transportation. Forest Park Public School processes all student registration electronically, utilizing the Infinite Campus portal for online registration, and you will find it on our website. Registration can be accessed to our student information system, which is Infinite Campus. Please remember, all students must be registered each year, and parents and guardians must verify identity and residency. In regards to transportation, this is for children who will be taking the bus from the beginning of the school year until the end of the school year. There will not be any accommodations. And finally, talent recruitment and development. For higher,
I have a question.
Yes.
Real quick, going back for transportation. I know when they sent out for, I know it's kind of separate, but goes under transportation for summer school. It didn't include information about transportation.
during summer school,
Yeah, so when they sent it out, it didn't list anything for transportation.
because there isn't any.
There's any. Okay.
Mm-mm. All right, moving on to talent recruitment and development. We'd like to congratulate Victoria Egizio from D91's she's our new Assistant Director of Student Services. She will start on July 1st, and so she is here today. And we have hired our Field Stevenson Secretary, Ms. Tina Fanucci. And we've also hired our Field Stevenson STEAM teacher, Melissa Mullert, and I believe she's here. And I hope I didn't butcher your last name.
It's Mullert, but I'm changing
Mullert.
to Bravo, so that'll be easier.
Bravo. There we go. And as we mentioned about the principal interview timeline, so as of right now, there were 3 rounds. The first round were with Mr. Bacon. We also had a teacher, a parent, and another teacher. We didn't get to complete it with our parent and the other teacher, just conflicts, but that was the first round. The second round, depending on where you were at, was with our student panel. And then our third round was with myself, 2 teachers, our counselor, and a parent. We are continuing with the timeline. We are looking at resumes right now and trying to figure them out, doing some reference checks as well. We're still hoping to keep our timeline where we bring it to the June meeting and hope for approval for our new principal. Okay. And for FOIA, we did have a FOIA in regards to any disputes or claims with our former employee, Matthew Weedman, and then also any types of disputes or claims with employees or former employees, or sometimes called settlement agreements or separation agreements, from July 1st, 2018 through May 1st, 2023. And then we also received, and this was from Mr. Brian Schwartz, just so you know. We also received another FOIA of copies of the last 5 approved requests for a religious exemption for immunization, redacted of all personal identification information, and to please provide via email, and then if they also want to know if there was a charge, to inform them about any payment. But we didn't have any. They also wanted to know if there were any copies of the last 5 denied requests for religious exemptions, but we didn't have any. Okay, and that came from Daniel Tutolo. And that would complete my superintendent report.
Number 9 is committee reports. So this is our last reports on the committees that we have been serving on, just so that we're clear. A, teacher negotiations. Board policy.
Not at this time.
Finance.
Not at this time.
Engagement.
Wait, can I ask a question? John, do you remember when is our next meeting?
We were waiting till the restructure of the new
yes.
committees.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay, engagement.
We did not meet this month because of all the events that were going on in the district, so we've been going to those.
Can I ask a question? For the engagement committee, we were talking about that awards
We'll have,
something. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Okay.
So-
Where are we with that?
we weren't able to get it planned before the year, so when the new structure do it, we'll pick up with that planning then.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Superintendent evaluation, we did not meet, and we will talk a little more about Dr. Alvarez's evaluation a little further down. PPC,
We should be having a meeting next week, but I haven't heard yet.
CAC,
Oh, so, sorry. We will be meeting next Wednesday. It'll be virtual to go over, do the presentation of our findings, and we'll be presenting it to the board. It'll be a virtual meeting.
and finally, my last IASB delegate is, there is nothing at this time. 10 items for discussion. So the idea was floated with Dr. Alvarez of not having a July meeting, a board meeting, that the agenda is light enough that anything could be moved to June or to August. So it's something we want to talk about, but also we wanted to do our board retreat in July. So does anybody have any thoughts on not having a July meeting, board meeting, and then doing our board retreat in July?
Could we move the board retreat to the July meeting then if we don't have the meeting? If
We
were
can,
already
that's,
expecting to be available that time.
I had, it's another thing we'll talk about, but I can wrap it in, is I had emailed everybody to come prepared with dates that do not work. So yes, that would be an option, that we could still meet that night. That would be an option.
I'm not opposed to it, just with the summer schedule that we have coming up. It's welcomed.
You mean to swap in the retreat for the meeting or not have?
Not having the July board meeting, depending on what day we decide for the retreat. I will tell you, our weekends are completely out with lacrosse this summer. So we can talk about weekdays, I know.
Those are options too.
Can I also ask you send me, so for the dates, so I could also add dates that don't work?
Yes. I was going to talk about that. Can I go out of order? Okay, so do we want to discuss, we can narrow it out, what does not work? So Mr. Lyon says weekends do not work. Are there any weekdays, weeknights that do not work for anybody?
Should probably stay away from that week of the 4th. I don't know when that is. I'm not-
Yes, the
the
4th
5th?
of July.
July
weekend.
3rd through the 7th week,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
And that is completely out for us.
Got it.
Fair.
Thursday nights are terrible unless it's the night we're going to do the board meeting because that's a scout thing.
Okay. Does anybody else have anything that does not work?
On the last week of July, that weird little 31st.
Oh, me
also
too.
out.
Yeah, same.
Okay. No weekends. Thursday's not great unless it's that board meeting that we're not going to have and we could maybe do the retreat then.
For me, besides the weekends, July 20th and 21st, a Thursday, Friday, are no good.
20th and 21st?
That is correct.
Okay.
I'm guessing we wouldn't do a summer Friday. Right?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Not
I-
as necessary.
I would prefer Mondays. Mondays are like,
I feel like Mondays have been good for the board.
Mondays are really, really good.
I will be gone the third week of July.
Okay.
So it sounds like July 10th.
Does July 10th work for everybody?
Is that when our meeting's supposed to happen?
No,
it's a
our
Monday?
meeting was supposed to be July 13th.
13th.
Oh, okay.
So it'd be that Monday
Yeah.
prior.
Sure.
Yes? Okay. 7:10. That was easy. Okay. Committee assignments. Board member committee assignments. I did send an email asking if anybody had a preference for a committee they would like to serve on. I did take the responses of those who did reply into consideration when making the committee assignments. So I will read off what I've come up with. If something doesn't work, just please let me know. So for teacher negotiations, I have myself and Kira Tyler. Miss Tyler, sorry. For board policy, I have Mr. Brooks and Miss Angelo. Finance, Mr. Lyons and Miss Angelo. Engagement, I have Miss Cotton Yancey and Mr. Rummel. Superintendent evaluation, I have Miss Cotton Yancey and Mr. Rummel. I didn't realize I did those both the same. PPC, I have myself, and then Miss Tyler is an alternate. CAC, I have Mr. Brooks, and then I put Mr. Lyons only because it's, I know your work schedule can be crazy and we can talk about it. It's virtual, and I don't, if that would work for you or not.
What, are the meetings during the day or the evening?
They are in the evening, but there is a moment where you do have to be present when they're doing the community meetings. So they are virtual in the beginning.
Okay.
If it's on Wednesdays, that's going to be challenging.
Okay.
But I mean, just due to some work travels, stuff like that. But I mean, if they're fine with me doing it from a cell phone somewhere, I mean, I could try to do my best.
Okay. And then I'd like to pass along the IASB delegate to Ms. Tyler. Everybody's okay? Okay. Lovely. All right. And then we have Dr. Alvarez, B.
So I wanted to bring this up for discussion. We have partnered with NEP. Our partnership ends June 30th, 2023, and I would like to discuss with the board your thoughts on whether we should continue to partner with NEP. Consider additional partnerships for supplemental support, perhaps, or seek a new partnership as a replacement for their services. For example, this year we also partnered with Be Well, a local thought leader in diversity, equity, and inclusion that promotes anti-racism, social justice, and social emotional learning. They have facilitated conversations with our middle school students as well as providing some initial training for our administrators throughout the past winter and spring. And then our administrators have provided very positive feedback following their experience with Be Well, and we are strongly considering a future partnership with them as part of the professional learning for the staff during this coming school year. The National Equity Project has solicited our preliminary interest in continuing a partnership where we can make it our own. This may include a variety of offerings, including participation in a network of schools. Similar to what we have done in the past, we were included in the first round of the NEP Midwest Network in 2018 and 2021, and participated in the NEP Bell Network from 2021 to the present. There will also be the option to continue with a contracted consultant. It could be in regards to just professional learning at some times. It could be a be your own with NEP. So just putting it up for discussion.
So these are outside organizations. Is there a process by which we're going to start to bring these sorts of things more and more in-house, where we will build our own internal expertise and eventually become more partners like the Bell Network, right? Or is it they're going to be sort of perpetually in the building to do this work?
Depends on what you want to use them for. So there are virtual where they could attend certain meetings, but they also could come in and provide like professional learning for the board, professional learning for the staff, and it's as many times as you want regarding different topics, but they would be in person, yes.
So is it a pay-as-you-go kind of thing if we bring them in to do something?
It depends on what we want, and so we would tell them what we want, they would give us an invoice.
Okay. So it's not like a subscription fee, it's just like, oh, we have a relationship with them, and when we use them, we pay for them.
Correct.
Dr. Alvarez, would we be able to get a list of the different services to sort of compare if there's something we might get more from one than the other?
I asked Linda Ponce de Leon regarding what we could do. I think it's really up to us. She said we could create it. I don't know if they have particularly things, but I know the Be Well does, and I can provide that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have internally a plan for what we want? Like, do we have a plan for what we want from them?
I kind of have a plan for it. I just wanted to know, because I know you were all happy with NEP. There were portions of it, I will admit, that I appreciated, and there was other portions I didn't feel that it fit well with Forest Park. So I'm actually liking the idea that we get to mold it ourselves. It also means that there could be mentoring for principals, coaching that could be coming in. We do have Rudy, who's part of it, who has been, I believe is Bankster. He's been coming in to support. And then Linda Ponce de Leon has been helping in middle school. There could be a lot more that could be happening because keep in mind we were in the pandemic as well. And now we just started really opening up and seeing our opportunities that we could use them for. But definitely through our professional learning, equity is always going to be part of it. It's just what we do. And yes, eventually want this to become part of everything we do. With right now, just getting support.
I think it would be really cool to have a plan to say, okay, this is what our implementation plan is going to be to get there. So that'd be
And I know Mr. Edler is really working with that with the Professional Learning Committee as well.
I would definitely echo Steve's remarks, as I would definitely like to see a plan. I know last time we signed this agreement with National Equity Project, it was a substantial dollar amount, in my opinion. And I don't know if we got all the benefits from that program. So understanding what we would want to see from it and actually have a plan on what we're going to use out of it as well.
Yep.
So, and if there's any other like services from other companies, we'd like to explore those maybe as well.
Yep, absolutely. I could provide that for you.
Do we have the option of having them or anyone else looking at coming in? Because I don't know if everyone has a good idea of what they do and how they work. So if we're looking at switching, if we're looking at staying with them, we can get a better idea of what their actual work is to have them come and maybe do a presentation at a meeting or something like that.
Yeah.
Because that would be, I'm like, I don't know if everyone in the district gets an idea of what they do or how they work, and have them come in and do something, if that's possible.
Yeah. I mean, preferably not a salesperson, right? Like an educator.
Yeah,
I get,
like
but
I don't
get
think
what
they,
you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah, I don't
I get
think,
what
but
you're
I think there are actual people that do the
Marketing
class actually do the pitch, but have them, and anyone else we're looking at actually come in and talk about their work. Or
So
something.
I know Linda Ponce de Leon wanted to come today, but wasn't able to. It was a last minute thing. But I will say that during our admin ensemble meeting, the principals were speaking highly of the California trip. And there were people in the group that did not go to California and would benefit from it. And so they did discuss that with them there. And Linda had mentioned, well, there's an option where we could come in, perhaps do it in-house with all of them. Obviously, they wouldn't be with other people, it would just be in-house, because we do have our academic coaches that didn't receive it, our director, our assistant soup, like Mr. Bacon, and now it's going to be our new principal coming in. They did not receive the training.
I mean, that sounds like a much more cost-effective option, right? If you can do it in-house, and it can also address the specifics of our district.
Yeah. And they also offered for the board as well.
I'm curious, two questions. One, you said that there are some things that you like, some things you didn't like, and so I'm curious about what you might want to see different. And for me, I think what I have felt like is really missing is a community and ability to connect with our families as well. I think this work is only as good as deep as you can make it, and I do think that's been one piece that's been kind of missing.
Yeah, I think there's a surface level,
Yeah.
and there's more to it. Mhm. What I disliked about it, well, coming, first of all, I inherited it.
Yes.
And so I love the whole thing about the liberatory thinking. I think that's great. But when I came in, there was meetings virtually with other districts, and everyone had to really discuss what they were doing regarding equity. I was a new superintendent at the time, trying to get to understand each of the schools and what we did with it in the past. I was told by teachers that there was some serious conversations when they came in, and then the pandemic happened. And so my teachers were saying, like, are we still doing equity? Which I found an odd kind of question, because we should be doing equity. But I felt like the Bell Network wasn't really there to support in that way. And I was also promised a coach that would be there with me and work with me, and I didn't receive that. So I mentioned that to them, and I started seeing more, like, I think it was around December, and then Rudy started showing up and Linda started showing up more. We also wanted to do circle teams, which is where our PAG came about, our Principal Advisory Group. I'm very happy about that, because we do want to have our student voice groups. I wanted to make sure that's happening within our other schools. They have not come to fruition as of yet, at least starting with our second graders and starting with our third to fifth graders. And it's been slow to happen. Honestly, I do believe it has to start from us. I understand that NEP can only do so much, and we really should be the ones kind of doing the work. But in regards to what Mr. Lyons said, the amount that was paid, we should have received more.
Have they received that feedback that like we?
From me, they have.
Oh. Because I mean, I hope that they would recognize that if we, I assume that they want to be us to be happy and for it to feel useful.
Yeah, I was pretty vocal, and I
Okay.
believe that's why in December things started changing a bit. And now they attend and work with Mr. Edler regarding our admin ensemble meetings, which wasn't done before.
I believe Linda is who, after we went on the retreat, is who me and Shannon met with to kind of debrief. And she seemed very receptive to what me and Shannon kind of spoke with her, what we wanted to bring back to the board and kind of do, you know, some information with the board, because we all said, like, how do we feel? We are telling the district they need to get this equity training, and the board hasn't had it, and they seem very receptive. And honestly, like, we knew it was going to be a change, so we hadn't followed up because we didn't know what the board was going to look like. So we did kind of put a pause on it, and we did say we would reach out. And what she said, you know, they do want to come in and do some training, and she had some ideas, and we want to reach out. So they seemed receptive to it and excited to come in and do the work. But this was after you had that talk in December. So that's why when you were saying that, I was like, oh, I didn't get that feeling. But when you said it was after December, that makes more sense then, because they did seem to kind of, and I think she reached out afterwards, but you had already had a talk with her about what hadn't been happening, so that makes sense.
I spoke to
Kinda
someone
connects.
from NEP. I did not speak necessarily to Linda Ponce-Leon, because I wasn't really in communication with her. And then Rudy started showing up, and I am in communication with him.
Is there any options for, if we do continue any types of services with them, that they would, knowing that we had COVID, they weren't really receptive to much activity, to providing some at cost or something at a much steep discounted rate, considering that we paid a substantial dollar amount and the services haven't been 100% there?
I will ask. Mhm.
That would go a long way towards making an argument for continuing with them. Yeah.
All right, Dr. Hubbard?
Good evening, Madam President, Board, and Dr. Alvarez. Just have 3 items to share with you and discuss. The first one being to review the pooled investment report from the township that we get. Next slide, Dr. Alvarez. So during our finance committee meetings, I shared it after the first quarter, an interest report with the members and asked if they've seen this before, and they said no. And now I'm realizing why we haven't seen it before. So in the past, the township would send an annual report, and they would send it every March. But this year they changed it up and they started sending quarterly reports because last year districts asked for quarterly reports. But it seems like for the past maybe 5-6 years, the board has been getting an annual report normally every April of what the interest was that was earned. But now they send it quarterly. So I did put together to show what we've earned for this year. And because this is the first year they transitioned from a annual report to a quarter report, there's a difference of a month in there. But as you could see, last year we budgeted $47,000 in interest to be made from our investments, and we made $31,000. This year we budgeted again $47,000 just because of the fluctuation in the market. However, the market did well, and we made $328,000 in interest. And that is more than what we made 2 years ago, because I put in 2021, we only made $230,000. And looking back about 10 years, we've only made probably around $200,000 normally. So last year was a very odd year in the market due to COVID and everything. So that's why we made so little, and that's why we lower our projection on what we may make, because we didn't know what this year was going to bring. But happy to say we did make about $328,000 in interest from our investments with the township. And then this is just a breakdown of where that money goes. So based on our levy and what we levy for our taxes, that money has to be distributed to each fund. So that's just a breakdown of where that $328,000 gets broken into based on our levy. Oh. Any questions regarding the interest that we made?
Just in that we're missing zeros on that one, right? Place, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have 25 million, or no, is that right? Oh, that's the investment report.
That's the
I'm
investment,
sorry.
yes.
I'm sorry. Okay, I apologize. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not right. That's not our overall fund balance.
Yes.
Okay.
This is our overall fund balance. As where we are. So we started the year with $26 million in our fund balance. So far, year to date, our revenue has been $20 million. Can you hit it one more time, Dr. Alvarez? And our year to date expenditures, our projected expenditures, because we still have 2 more months in the physical year. If you hit the arrow one more time, it's $19.7 million. And that's estimated because we're projecting for the next 2 months on what they will be. So that would mean we're at the end of this year, if our estimates are correct, we'll drop close to $1 million back into our fund balance. And historically, for the past maybe 6 years, we have done that. We've dropped about $1 million back into our fund balance. And maybe a little bit more because the projections on that interest, we didn't budget for $328,000 in interest received. We only budgeted for $48,000, so maybe a little bit more dropping in to our fund balance at the end of this year once we get all actual numbers in. And we won't know that until the end of the physical year after June 30th. Any questions regarding the fund balance? The zeros were correct on that one. We've really been looking at our facilities and our operations this year and how we can improve them and how we could be more green. We shared with the board, I think back in April, that we did a really big assessment, and as a result of that assessment, we applied for a federal grant, about a $4.1 million in federal funding to do energy efficient improvements across the district. We won't hear back until around October of this year if we were awarded that grant, but I will tell you we were invited to the second round of that. So that was the good news. So it's good that we're in the second and final round of that, and we're hoping to hear back that we get that money. And if we do get that money, we'll share with the board at the time the plan that was submitted for the $4.1 million to do the energy efficiency improvements across the district. Okay? But as a result of that study, we really looked at our heating and air and the efficiencies of it. So it's the recommendation that we install a new BAC network from front-end system that integrates every school into the district. This upgrade will lower energy consumption throughout nighttime and temperature setbacks, address the discomfort issues experienced by students and staff, and lower the operation and maintenance costs. So really, we don't have a system in place to communicate with our heating and air throughout the whole district. There's many different systems that are in place, so that's why some parts of a building are hotter than others, some parts are colder than others. So we need a uniform system to connect those are. And so right now, we're looking at the brains to do that. And the reason we decided to look at this first, because if we do get this grant, then that would tie into that to then really upgrading, getting new rooftop units, getting new everything, so then the system can connect to. But even if we don't get that grant, we would still need that front part of the system to control what we currently do have, which is not in bad shape. But we just don't have controls over it. So right now, when there's an issue, we have to manually go room to room and check it. And we have to have staff come over the weekend to check the systems to make sure, especially during the winter, that the system is operational, no water's leaking any place, all pumps are still active. But with a control system in place, that could all be done manually via phone or via an app to check the whole system. And then it also comes with warning systems to let us know when something does go wrong. So the recommendation is that we move forward with that part of the assessment results that came through. We do have ESSA funding that will cover the first phase of that, so it would be no cost to the district, and that would be to start with Betsy Ross. And then the next phase of that would be to do to other schools, and we'll look at using our operational funds over the next 2 years, so to plan into the budget moving forward for the next 2 years to really cover the cost of that. Yeah. Any questions? Yes,
Two questions. So first, you mentioned that that the equipment we have is in pretty good shape. It's just not there's no central coordination for it.
Correct.
So would we actually need to replace any of that, or do we just need the brains for the thing? Because I think you mentioned replacing some of the rooftop units and stuff.
We
too.
need the brains. We'll only replace the rooftop units if we get the grant, because the grant says we need to put brand new ones in.
Okay.
And they're paying for it. So they're going to pay for it.
All
We'll
good.
put brand new ones in. But some of our units are only like 10 years old.
Sure.
So we don't need to replace them. But one of the stipulations of the grant, if we do get it, is we have to replace them all. So, and
Okay.
they're going to cover the cost of it. So we'll replace them.
Fair enough. All right. Second question, you mentioned the only way to check these systems is to have people come in on the weekends and things like that. So I assume that there's a cost savings associated with all of these things. So if we
Correct.
get this thing, and I'm not going to ask you for it now because I didn't ask in advance, so I apologize for that.
Mhm.
But down the road, when we come back to revisit this,
Mhm.
if we could know, like, how much are we going to save in terms of not having to have people come in?
Yes, there will be a cost saving in terms of human capital, not having to pay people to come in at late nights to check the system. Yes,
Thank
I
you.
have that.
So the brains that we're purchasing, or you suggesting to purchase now, that is carried over to new units, so if we get the grant, would we get these units included with the new units?
The grant does not cover the brains.
Okay.
It covers the actual unit. But even if we don't get the grant, we still need the brains for our current units, which are in good shapes, they're not old. So it'll work with them. We made sure we found a system, and when we put it out there to the vendors, we told them that about the grant, what we anticipated if we do get it, and if not. So we asked for a system that was not proprietary, that would work with either hardware that we get afterwards. And they were able to find that.
Okay, thank you.
When was the last time that this kind of maintenance or upgrading was done?
We did a 10-year assessment about 10 years ago.
Okay.
But a lot of the things that came out of that report was deferred and really was not done. For example, I believe 10 years ago was asked about getting a control system. We've never had a control system in the district where we unified all of our schools in our system.
What is this? Is there a possibility that if there's a failure, that it affects all of the buildings?
No, it's isolated. So like each school's on its own. What would all be connected is just so we could see each system. But if there's a failure on one rooftop unit in the library, it's not going to affect another part of the building.
Okay.
If
This
that was
is
what you were asking.
I think it is what I was asking. I think what I'm thinking about is like similar to like a Nest like a Nest thermostat,
Mhm.
right? Like, so it's like that, like that's the
Yes.
unit, and then okay.
So
I
like
can
on your
understand
app
that.
for the Nest, you can see all of them and you
Yes.
control them all. But if one
Okay.
goes down, it's just that one that goes down. And it tells you that that one went down.
Okay, got it. Got it.
Mhm.
When will we find out about? Will we already have the ESSER grants?
Yes. So we currently have the funding in the ESSA grant
And the other's
to
October,
cover
is that
Betsy
right?
Ross.
Okay.
And that would just start us off, and then we'd plan, if the board approves later on, to then, as I'm working on next year's budget, to incorporate some of the costs into that budget in the following year. So this would be like a 2 or 3 year project.
So if we step this in with technology, are we concerned with anything going out of date, or if whatever system we buy today and then replace other buildings, a year from now, is that going to cause a communication issue amongst
No, that's
hardware?
why we were, Mr. Laudadio was very specific that we had to get a non-proprietary system so that it was open, so it works with any hardware that we bring in. So that's what we put out in the proposal.
Thank you.
Any other questions? That is all I have. Thank you.
Closed session. I will make the motion to go into closed session. May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Lyons.
Aye.
Ms. Angelo.
Aye.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Ms. Tyler.
Hi.
Mr. Rummel. Aye. Ms. Cotton Yancey.
Aye.
Ms. Wood.
Aye. We are now in closed session. Okay, we're back. Thanks for waiting. Number 12, consent agenda items to discuss in closed session. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Lyons.
Aye.
Ms. Angelo.
Aye.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Ms. Tyler.
Aye.
Mr. Rummel. Aye. Ms. Cotton.
Aye.
Ms. Wood.
Aye. 13 items for action.
Ms. Wood,
Yes.
we could congratulate our new.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
You're fine.
I forgot what she's done.
Yes.
Okay. I'm so sorry. It's my first meeting. Oh, thanks, guys. And I congratulate our new hires. We have our STEAM teacher and the assistant director of student services. Welcome to our family.
Yeah.
Yay! Okay. One, consider recommendation to approve Superintendent Alvarez's SY 2022-2023 evaluation. May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second? Discussion? Just to recap, we did Dr. Alvarez's evaluation. There were 8 categories, and this year Dr. Alvarez received a 3.52 out of 4. So we want to say thank you, and we appreciate all your hard work. And we believe in your vision for our district and look forward to continue supporting you. Anyone else?
Again, thank you for all your hard work and dedication to our district.
It was a pleasure doing your evaluation. It gives us an opportunity that we don't get very often to talk about, all the ways in which you're impacting our district, and I think a way that's really positive. So congratulations. You're welcome.
All right, Dr. Alvarez? The resolutions for retiring staff members?
Shannon, I
What?
think we need.
A roll call.
Yep.
Can I have a roll call?
You're good.
You need to make a motion and then a roll call.
Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
That is correct. Yes.
So we just need a roll
Eh.
call.
See, guys, may I please have a roll call?
Mr. Lyons.
Aye.
Ms. Angelo.
Aye.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Ms. Tyler.
Aye.
Mr. Rummel. Aye. Ms. Cotton.
Aye.
Ms. Wood.
Aye. Okay. Dr. Alvarez, the resolutions for retiring staff members. Do we need may I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
May I
I'll
have a
second.
Thank you. Discussion?
I second.
Now we can have discussion.
I'm going to be reading some resolutions. As a testimonial to Virginia Puzovic upon her retirement, June 2023, whereas Virginia Puzovic has announced her retirement after completing outstanding service since 2004, and whereas she has faithfully discharged her duties in District 91 in a manner consistent with the highest professional standards, and whereas she has worked tirelessly to help countless students and staff, and whereas it is the desire of the superintendent and the Board of Education to pay tribute to Virginia Puzovic, now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education in a meeting assembled this 11th day of May, 2023, that we hereby appreciate and respect the contributions of Virginia Puzovic, and we wish her the best of health and happiness in her retirement. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread in full upon the minutes of this meeting, and a copy suitable engrossed be presented to Virginia Puzovic in honor of her retirement. As a testimonial to Barb Popelka upon her retirement, June 2023, whereas Barb Popelka has announced her retirement after completing outstanding service since 2001, and whereas she has faithfully discharged her duties in District 91 in a manner consistent with the highest professional standards, and whereas she has worked tirelessly to help countless students and staff, and whereas it is desired the superintendent and the Board of Education to pay tribute to Barb Popelka, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education in a meeting assembled this 11th day of May, 2023, that we hereby appreciate and respect the contributions of Barb Popelka, and we wish her the best of health and happiness in her retirement, and be it further resolved that this resolution be spread in full upon the minutes of this meeting, and a copy suitably engrossed be presented to Barb Popelka in honor of her retirement. As a testimonial to Lotus Moy, upon her retirement, June 2023, whereas Lotus Moy has announced her retirement after completing outstanding service since 1995, and whereas she has faithfully discharged her duties in District 91 in a manner consistent with the highest professional standards, and whereas she has worked tirelessly to help educate countless students, and whereas it is desired of the Superintendent and the Board of Education to pay tribute to Lotus Moy, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education in the meeting assembled this 11th day of May, 2023, that we hereby appreciate and respect the contributions of Lotus Moy, and we wish her the best of health and happiness in her retirement. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread in full upon the minutes of this meeting, and a copy suitably engrossed be presented to Lotus Moy in honor of her retirement. As a testimonial to Laura Dickinson, upon her retirement, June 2023, whereas Laura Dickinson has announced her retirement after completing outstanding service since 2006, and whereas she has faithfully discharged her duties in District 91 in a manner consistent with the highest professional standards, and whereas she has worked tirelessly in the business office, and whereas it is a desire of the Superintendent and the Board of Education to pay tribute to Laura Dickinson now, and therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education in a meeting assembled this 11th day of May, 2023, that we hereby appreciate and respect the contributions of Laura Dickinson, and we wish her the best of health and happiness in her retirement, and be it further resolved that this resolution be spread in full upon the minutes of this meeting, and a copy suitably engrossed be presented to Laura Dickinson in honor of her retirement. As a testimonial to Nancy Gerke, upon her retirement, June 2023, whereas Nancy Gerke has announced her retirement after completing outstanding service since 1997, and whereas she has faithfully discharged her duties in District 91 in a manner consistent with the highest professional standards, and whereas she has worked tirelessly to help educate countless students, and whereas it is the desire of the student and the Board of Education to pay tribute to Nancy Gerke, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education in a meeting assembled this 11th day of May, 2023, that we hereby appreciate and respect the contributions of Nancy Gerke, and we wish her the best of health and happiness in her retirement. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread in full upon the minutes of this meeting, and a copy suitably engrossed be presented to Nancy Gerke in honor of her retirement. Last one. As a testimonial to Terry Wazenik, upon her retirement, June 2023. Whereas Terry Wazenik has announced her retirement after completing outstanding service since 1987, and whereas she has faithfully discharged her duties in District 91 in a manner consistent with the highest professional standards, and whereas she has worked tirelessly to help educate countless students, and whereas it is desire of the Superintendent and the Board of Education to pay tribute to Terry Wazenik, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education in a meeting assembled this 11th day of May, 2023, that we hereby appreciate and respect the contributions of Terry Wazenik, and we wish her the best of health and happiness in her retirement. And be it further resolved that this resolution be spread in full upon the minutes of this meeting, and a copy suitably engrossed be presented to Terry Wazenik in honor of her retirement. And I want to make sure I read them all. Here, Virginia, Barb, Lotus, Laura, Nancy, Terry. And that is all.
Thank you. A couple items C for Dr. Hubbard. One, consider recommendation to approve the district on what? That's okay. To approve the District 91 Consolidated District Plan for federal grants. May I have a motion? I'll make the motion. Second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
So this is an annual requirement so we could apply for our federal grants, our Title I funding and our IDA funding. We do it annually to to create this report to say to the federal government how we're going to utilize these funds. And our plan is going to utilize these funds as we always do to cover salaries of special ed teachers, to cover salaries of interventionists. So I'm asking for the board's approval so we can apply for these funds for next year. And annually, we get about $1.4 million from this federal grant.
Anything? Okay. Can I have a roll call?
Mr. Lyons.
Aye.
Ms. Angelo.
Aye.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Ms. Tyler.
Aye.
Mr. Rummel. Aye. Ms. Cotton.
Aye.
Ms. Wood.
Aye. 2, consider adoption of the Property Tax Appeals Board, PTAB, resolution for tax year 2022 assessment appeals. May I have a motion?
So moved.
A second.
Second, please.
Discussion?
This is another annual requirement from the board to allow us to appoint a legal counsel to represent us for any assessment appeals. So any local tax bodies that choose to appeal their taxes, this is your approval to have a legal counsel represent us in this matter.
May I have a roll call?
Mr. Lyons.
Aye.
Ms. Angelo.
Aye.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Ms. Tyler.
Aye.
Mr. Rummel. Aye. Ms. Cotton. Ms. Wood.
Aye. Number 3, consider recommendation to approve Amerisco proposal for control system consolidation and updates. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
This is what was discussed earlier as our long-term plan to be more efficient. As mentioned, we do have federal funding, or ESSA 2 and ESSA 3 funds to cover the cost to start this program. And then if approved, we'll look at planning next year's budget and the year after that to cover the remaining costs of it.
This is, the first phase is 250?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
May I have a roll call?
Mr. Lyons.
Aye.
Ms. Angelo.
Aye.
Mr. Brooks.
Aye.
Ms. Tyler.
Aye.
Mr. Rummel. Aye. Ms. Cotton.
Aye.
Ms. Wood.
Aye. Number 14, additional matters for consideration from the board. Nobody? Okay.
I would just like to say this past month has been very busy, and I've enjoyed all the programs that have been put on, and just being able to go everything. I did like the new format of having everything at one night. It was long, it was crazy, but it was great. And then now that we've had it that way, it was one of those things of, why haven't we not been doing this the whole time? Because it just made sense once we did the first one. And I, as always, enjoy the middle schoolers being loud and cheering on the other kids, because you would see the little kids go up and they would be nervous, and you get their little middle school buddies on the side cheering them on, and it's the cutest, greatest thing, because no one can cheer you on like a middle schooler. And I want them to cheer me on, but they haven't done it yet. So if you're watching, hey, you see me, cheer me on. But it's been really fun. It's been busy and it's been crazy, but I love it. And I look forward to the other events that are coming up.
We talked about last month's meeting, recognition for teachers. So I don't want anybody to think we didn't say it. I will say it again. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. We're grateful for all that you do for our students and for our community. And so I just wanted to make sure that they have been celebrated in a really nice way, which is great. So I know sweatshirts and snacks and all sorts of good stuff. So also thanks to the PTA. What a PTA we have. Wow, it's been really, PTO, sorry. That's been really good to see happen, but I'm appreciative to the PTO who's helped us organize ways in which to celebrate our teachers. So thank you.
I just wanted to put this out as a reminder that Monday night at 6:30 is challenge night. That's Monday, May 15th. Everybody could come see. My favorite part of the end of the year is seeing what everybody gets to do all year and see what our kids can do in their creativity. And this Sunday is Mother's Day. So I'd like to wish all the mothers and mother figures a happy Mother's Day. I hope that you are showered with love for all that you do, and to think about those that have mothers that are no longer here and may have a hard relationship with them. And number 15, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I was trying to see what time it is.
8:33.
It is 8:33. This meeting is adjourned.